Hi, my name is Abby Ross, and I am the founder of Flight Risk. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with two things. I loved all things sports, and I loved creating stuff. When I was deciding what I wanted to do in college, it became pretty clear that I wanted to continue that trend of making stuff that I loved as a kid. And so I found the industrial design program at BYU, where I learned how to design products. There came a time when I needed to find an internship. I managed to get two that I was really excited about, one of which took me out to Germany to work at one of the leading sports brands in the world. I loved being in Germany. It was just embracing a whole different culture and living there for 6 months with my husband in our tiny little flat. I remember waking up one morning and going outside, and there was a race going on. I just stood there and I watched for a minute. I honestly got emotional because I hadn't run since high school. All through college, I kind of put that on the back burner. And running a marathon had always been something I wanted to do. It's something you think you're gonna do in the future, but it's hard to actually get going. I just started saying to myself, I'm gonna run a marathon. And I started to believe that. I don't know why I'm getting emotional now. I went back into my flat and I was like, all right, Jacob, that's my husband. I was like, I'm gonna run a marathon. When we were living in Europe, we had the opportunity to pop around to a bunch of different countries. And my husband's not a big runner, but he loves to bike. And he would ride his bike alongside me on various trails throughout Bavaria. And then we'd travel to places like Romania, and he'd rent a little e-scooter and go next to me while I run. When the time came, I did a marathon in Rome. The marathon was an amazing experience, but when I got to the finish line, I just started crying, getting emotional. There's just something so gratifying about accomplishing a goal that also involves physical exertion where you've tested your body and put it to the limits. So that was just a wonderful experience, and I love being around races. This is what I want to do. I want to be around people that inspire me. That got me thinking about what I wanted for the rest of my life. I was having a great time at my internship, but I was also slowly realizing that the corporate world was not for me. I could take the easy route and continue down this path working for big name brands, or I could take a chance on myself and do something that I had been dreaming about forever, which was create my own brand. I had 1 semester left at BYU, and we had to do a senior project, and we could do whatever we wanted. And when it came to training for my marathon, I began thinking about what I wanted to wear. And I wasn't able to find exactly what I was looking for. Something that was stylish, but still could fit my body type. Something that I could feel comfortable in, but also felt cool. I decided I would start this brand. And at first I called it Umstead, which was a state park that I would train at a lot growing up. My slogan was Flight Risk. My name was Umstead. There was a parent there, and he was like, you know what you should do? You should do Flight Risk. That should be the name. That embodies this younger generation pursuing their own dreams. And I took that to heart, and I was like, yeah, obviously, that was way better of a name. After my senior show, I talked to my husband, and we were like, this is just a great time in our lives. I'm gonna go for it. And I did not realize how hard it was going to be, because you're jumping into new territory at every turn. I was going to these trade shows by myself. I'd show up and I'm like, does someone make clothes? I don't really know what I'm doing at all. There's just a few times you go to the bathroom, you gotta hype yourself up. I know how to do this. I can do this. I can talk to people. But while I was going through this imposter syndrome of starting my own company, my husband and I were also deciding that we wanted to start our family. We had no idea how difficult that was gonna be. I went to a fertility specialist. They ran a bunch of tests, and they officially diagnosed me with unexplained infertility, which means we don't know what's going on. I was going to have to do IVF. Obviously, the needles weren't ideal. There was a couple times I nearly fainted, and we had a transfer that they said failed. As I was preparing for the next transfer the day before, I thought I was pregnant. So I took a test, and I was it was super dark. And they were like, oh, we actually think it's an ectopic pregnancy. I also had a fair share of chemical pregnancies, super early miscarriage situations, and I also had a false positive at one point. I've told my sister that I'm pregnant 3 times now, and none of those have actually happened. In the meantime, I was also feeling a huge sense of self-doubt. It got to the point where I talked to my husband, and I was like, Jacob, am I stupid? Why have I been working on this company? We have thousands of dollars we need to save up for this IVF. And he said, what I really think you need is a win. To cope with all of this infertility, I got really into baking. His idea was take 2 weeks off of flight risk. Why don't you just start some baking Instagram channels? Who knows what will happen? He was so right. It was like so gratifying to put myself out there in what some people might call cringy, made these goofy videos. It made me gain my confidence back. In turn, what it actually did was make me more excited about flight risk. I was investing way more time in flight risk because I also had this baking thing that my mind could get off of flight risk for a little bit. So my story is one of infertility and baking and running and feeling imposter syndrome. This has not been a linear process for sure. There's so much in my life that I can't control. You know, I'm still not pregnant. Who knows if I ever will be? That's not something I really can control. As I've been going through these struggles, it became more clear to me what flight risk really is about. Yes, flight risk is a running brand, but what flight risk really is to take a bet on yourself to do that thing that you've been thinking about. Flight risk is about leaving the ordinary path that you originally thought you had to do, and it's doing the thing that you're scared of. Fear can either be debilitating or it can be a motivator. For me, it has been both at times, and every day I still don't know what the heck I'm doing, like half the time. Who knows where I'll be in 10 years? I don't want to be locked up in some cubicle living someone else's dream. That's why I love running so much. It's such a physical representation of freedom. The whole point of flight risk is really go for it and decide what you want and take a chance. So once again, my name is Abby Ross and I live Unbound.